Hi, I'm Tom from Car for Coin. I want to discuss today, is $26,000 a good price to start buying Bitcoin if you have zero Bitcoin? Is this a good price? Well, let's see. It used to be 69,000 when there was a lot of money printing going on, when everybody was excited about crypto. And then the Fed started looking at inflation that was too high. So they started increasing the costs to borrow capital. And at the same time, everybody that's been leveraged on Bitcoin, that's been shady, like FTX, all that started collapsing. So this is the third time that crypto and Bitcoin specifically has collapsed in 14 years. And every time it has recovered. So it usually crashes by 80-something%. The first time there was a huge hack on a crypto trading platform called Mt. Gox, and that was doing like 70% plus of the volume. The next cycle, China banned Bitcoin mining, and then we had FTX happen. So all these things happen near the peaks, it seems like, when Bitcoin is overpriced, and that crashes the price and it recovers. So a lot of people say, oh, I wish I bought Bitcoin when I first heard about it at 30 cents or $1 or $10,000. Well, if you didn't buy it then, you're probably not buying it now because you don't have the same conviction. So don't fool yourself into thinking that, oh, I would have bought it. Well, you didn't buy it. If you didn't buy any when it crashed to 17,000, you wouldn't have bought it when it was cheaper because it was a lot less stable back then. There was a lot less adoption, and there were a lot less people were certain about what's going to happen. So what's going to happen is in April of 2024, I'm going to fix that thing in the car. And also the Bitcoin supply, the new supply that's being mined is going to get cut in half. So that happens every 4 years due to the way Bitcoin is coded. So as long as demand is the same, new supply coming in half, that means instead of 900 new Bitcoin being mined per day, there's going to be 450. So that normally causes price appreciation. On top of that, next year, the inflation battle that the federal government, the Fed, is fighting should be more or less okay. They do have a flexible inflation target of 2%, but that's flexible, and they're not expecting to hit that until 2025. So even if we're at 3% inflation next year, there are expectations in the general markets that the central banks will be definitely pausing, but cutting rates sometime middle of next year. So there are two big catalysts that are lining up for next year: the Bitcoin halving, and also return of free capital and lower cost to borrow money. So more liquidity, more cash to buy risk on assets, which is what Bitcoin is considered. So at $26,000, it's a good buy because your risk is lower. You're in the short term, that's going to go much lower, or in the long term. Why? Because it seems like everything's been flushed out, but there are some other risks in the market. A lot of people confuse volatility and risk. People think Bitcoin is risky, but if you talk to a lot of crypto investors, they see Bitcoin as the boring investment. Like if you're in traditional markets, Bitcoin is almost like bonds. So most crypto buyers most Bitcoin owners are under 40 years old, which is really interesting. And the difference between risk and volatility is risk to me, and to the real definition is risk of it going to zero. So either theft or collapsing completely to zero. The beautiful thing about Bitcoin is the risk of it going to zero is very low. It's survived a lot so far. So it survived, like I said, 3 crashes by 88% plus. If you look at the charts, it goes flat for a few years after that until people build it back up in terms of conviction and trust gets rebuilt. Volatility is very high in crypto. In other words, you buy Bitcoin today, tomorrow it might go from 26,000 to 19,000 to 20,000. So anybody that asks me, should I buy Bitcoin? I'll say, you want to be sure, you got to be ready for a 50% drop at any time, at any day. That's the way it is. If you want to make money in something that's like a crypto currency, and Bitcoin at this point is actually a crypto asset, not a currency, you got to be ready for a lot of volatility. So volatility is your biggest risk, which means when price is going to crash, you're going to be scared, you're going to lose your conviction, you're going to probably ignore why it crashed in the first place, and you're going to want to sell. instead of buying. But that's just human psychology. So if it crashes and you need somebody to talk to, I'm here for you. In terms of volatility, the reason Bitcoin is so volatile is a lot of people aren't happy enough with how Bitcoin, how it's so big. So the market cap is big, and a lot of people want to make more money, so they'll use leverage. So any move they'll make will be amplified by 10. So a lot of times you'll see in the Bitcoin price charts, the price will either spike up or spike down by $1,000 or $2,000 in a matter of minutes. So that's just people using leverage and then being flushed out. So the volatility is high if you have a short time frame. So if you're buying Bitcoin today, you must have at least a 2-year time horizon. So whoever has the longest time horizon in this market, in most markets, typically wins as long as they're investing in the right asset. So if you're not able to hold it for 2 years, if you're investing something that, if your roof breaks or AC breaks, you got to fix your leather in your car, or the brakes break and you got to sell it, you're probably going to be selling it at a price you don't want to sell it at. So do not buy Bitcoin with any money that you may need for the next 2 years. That's hard to go against that advice. So the time horizon is very important. What's beautiful is the S&P typically has a 10% return, maybe 7 to 8, 9, 10% return. So for you to double your money in the S&P 500, it's going to take you 10 years. With Bitcoin at 26,000, you can realistically double your money in 2 years. Now, do I know that? No. Does the market care what I think? No, not at all. But every time Bitcoin has gone through a halving, the new supply gets cut in half. Eventually, the market dynamics catch up and we make new all-time highs. So 69K was the previous all-time high. My expectations are, realistic expectations is that we'll reach 100K, probably bounce down because a lot of people are going to be selling at 100K, and then hopefully reach 120 to 140,000. So the other risk you have in crypto is opportunity cost. The risk-free yield right now in the market is 5%. So you can park your money and get 5% somewhere, like treasuries or some savings account. The problem with that is it's a big opportunity cost, because you can make 5% in Bitcoin in a day, or you can lose 5%. So it goes back to the time horizon. You got to expand your time horizon, right? Some people are waiting for the legal things, for the legal framework with Bitcoin to get regulatory clarity. I'm purposely messing up my words because it's very confusing in the United States to get regulatory clarity. So you should know that Bitcoin is fully regulated. The IRS sees Bitcoin as digital property. The SEC, which is the most aggressive government body in the United States that's going after crypto, sees it also as a commodity. The CFTC also sees it as a commodity. So it's digital property. It's not a currency. It sucks as a currency. It's too slow. It's too volatile. It's a digital asset. So in terms of legal clarity, it's already there. Recently, there's been an accounting rule change so that corporations can hold it and show the fair value of Bitcoin versus what they paid for it. So it looks a lot more favorable on their balance sheet to hold Bitcoin versus in the past. The best way to buy Bitcoin at 26,000 if you have 0 Bitcoin is to buy a little bit. By a little bit, I mean 25 to 50%. 50% of the money you want to invest. And of course, as they say, don't invest more than you're willing to lose, but nobody listens to that, right? You want to go all in, like me. So by dollar cost averaging, you're able to kind of cut off some of the volatility. The risk is that you're buying at 26K, the next time you might be buying at 27, 28, 29, 30. So would I be buying Bitcoin at 26,000? I'm not, but I'll explain later why. Because my average cost is 22,000, and I feel like I have enough Bitcoin. It's 20% of my portfolio of everything. But if you have 0 Bitcoin, it's a great place to start. Don't be greedy. You might want 10x gains or 100x gains, but with a $500 billion market cap, Bitcoin has a large enough market cap to where it's safe, I feel, in terms of the risk for it going to 0. Because, China tried to ban it. They couldn't ban it. The biggest exchange went bankrupt. Most people lost their money. It didn't die. The U.S. government tried to mess with it using the SEC and trying to cut off banks. That didn't work. So, the risk of going to zero for Bitcoin is marginal compared to the upside. I do also encourage you to track your trades. So if you do buy Bitcoin at 26,000, you should take notes, your emotional logs, how you're feeling on that day. Like, do you feel excited? Do you feel like you're missing out? That's actually the worst time to buy, or do you feel like I'm uncertain, I have doubt? That's the great time to buy. So right now, there's an uncertainty whether the Bitcoin ETFs will be approved, and well, those are. That's my family. So what Bitcoin's ETFs will do is they'll allow people to invest into Bitcoin without the risk of theft and the complication of storing it. So there's around, I think, $12 trillion worth of institutions. In other words, they're managing 12 or $13 trillion worth of assets. So if 0.5% of those goes into Bitcoin, assuming a 21x multiple, which I believe is a Bank America multiple. Look, I don't have all the hard numbers for you. I'm going to use magic math and tell you that if 0.5% of that money goes into Bitcoin, it'll be 100K. It's my son Miles. If it goes 1%, it'll be 268,000. But we're so America-centric and ego-centric, we forget that Bitcoin is an international company. I mean, there's not a company, an international asset. So there's people buying Bitcoin everywhere, like in Turkey, where the inflation is very high, Argentina, where it's very high. And there's actual countries that are mining Bitcoin, Bhutan and some other huge place. Trust me, bro. I'll put links in the description. So what are, other than the risk of, other than the volatility, what are the risks for Bitcoin? So the risk, number one, is you yourself emotionally messing up and selling too soon because it goes down, you got scared. Number two, the risk is you have Bitcoin on an exchange that's not fully trusted, and that exchange goes bankrupt. Any assets you hold in a third-party exchange, including Coinbase, which I love, does not belong to you. It belongs to them. Courts have already ruled that. So the risk is if you have like $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, if you want to hold it on Coinbase, that's probably fine. If you have over 10K, then you should definitely, I feel like you should store it yourself on a hardware wallet. So the cost of that is about $80 for a hardware wallet and $50 for a metallic plate where you can stamp it out. So, it doesn't make sense to have self-custody if you're if you only have a few $100s of crypto, I feel, because just the cost of the wallet plus to stamp it onto metal instead of paper, which you can burn, is just not worth it. So that's the main risk, your emotional risk, the cost. And then you could get somebody to convince you to send them crypto. There are a lot of socially engineered scams. So just remember that if you send anybody Bitcoin or any kind of cryptocurrency, you cannot get it back. So there's no middleman, there's no bank to go to, there's nobody to complain to. You're never getting it back. So any kind of links you see where people say, oh, this professional trader made me so much money, I recommend this trader, that's a scam. Or you find a hot girl online that can trade for you, that's a scam. Somebody says, oh, I saw you touching yourself on video, if you don't send me Bitcoin, I'm gonna blast it out to everybody, that's a scam. So you just have to close your eyes, close your ears to anybody that wants your crypto. You want to hold it yourself or on a trusted exchange. And oh yeah, one more big risk, Binance. You know how FTX had its own token, and they're kind of messing with it. They're using the token value to inflate things, and they're trading with your money. So the SEC is suing Binance for doing some shady stuff. So the risk right now, the reason why Bitcoin most likely could go down to like 19,000 would be the SEC revealing something very bad about Binance. So they did recently, in this lawsuit, they did have some sealed documents which they submitted, which is not great because sealed usually means they don't want you to see it. So that is the downside, but it could be nothing because Binance US has a very small market share, and the SEC going after Binance should not crash it, but it could. I don't know. But if it does, you're going to buy more, right? Right, guys? You're going to buy more because that's the only way you make money in Bitcoin is when something bad happens that's not relevant to Bitcoin. If it's like an exchange, there are some issues with legal framework. You got to ask yourself, why is the Bitcoin price down? Did something break in Bitcoin? Did somebody hack Bitcoin? Did something actually happen to Bitcoin? Probably not. So that's the time to buy, right? So even if you buy at 26, it drops to 19 or 17 or 12 or 4,000. You got to have the conviction to either hold or buy more. So that's the only way you can really realistically make good gains in crypto and Bitcoin specifically. And the UK and Europe could also ban Bitcoin mining for being not energy efficient or sustainable. So that's another thing that could happen this year, and it could definitely happen. So maybe. So, it seems like it's easy to make money in crypto, but it's not. There's always all these things that temporarily hurt the price, but those are all opportunities. So everybody says buy low, sell high, but if you're just listening to the news and reading headlines and you're getting scared, you're going to do the opposite. So don't do the opposite. If you have 0 Bitcoin and you're okay with only doubling your money in the next 2 years, and you're okay with not touching that money for 2 years, 26,000 is a good price. Up to 32,000 good price. The higher the price goes, the less comfortable I am recommending Bitcoin. So for me, I'm recommending Bitcoin anywhere from $1,000, which is not going to happen, to 32,000. If you have any questions, or if you want to sell your car for crypto and get into a beater like I have, please hit me up. Car for Coin is a great place to list your vehicle for free. You can get paid in cash or crypto. And right now is a great time to sell. If you have an extra car like I do, sell it for crypto, get Bitcoin, maybe some other crypto assets, and maybe subscribe, maybe thumbs down or thumbs up the video, and I'll make some more videos. Thanks.